Yes, indeed, the Jim and Terry Show, coming to you from the Hobbit Hole Studio in Bobcaygeon. I'm one of your hosts, Terry, and my co-host seat is empty. He's having fun in the sun still. Hope you're enjoying that southern vacay. It's not a staycay, as in you're not going to stay there, right? Jim, you listening? Okay, got some interesting ideas to banter about in this podcast. The interest I have is from a podcast called Northern Perspectives. It looks like a husband and wife or a husband-girlfriend team, and they seem to be very convinced that their view of what is right, what is good, is perhaps the way everybody should perceive their perspective. It is a Northern perspective. And having had this website recommended to me, I thought I'd poke around, especially during the election campaign. So all the month of April, I was checking out their sites, and you can go through their website and you can see the titles, and it shows the bias. I'm not saying it's not okay. I mean, everybody has an opinion about something, but sometimes it's just clickbaitish, in my opinion. For instance, this one. Trump just screwed, all caps, Mark Carney's campaign. Media gaslighting exposed as 0 new tariffs arrive. And they think they have a gotcha moment for Mark Carney. And of course, there are others, and you just have to go to their website and see all the American media sues Canada over media censorship law, Bill C-11, C-11. Yeah, if you know anything about Bill C-11, it's not anything but trying to make the CRTC regulations, Canadian Radio and Television Communications, make it apply to podcasting as well, so that you follow the same standards. Remember my big complaint about independent media? They get to say all kinds of without accountability. And that's not held to the same journalistic standards. Rebel News is not the Toronto Star or even the Globe and Mail. So you got to consider your sources, where you get your news, and what things you believe are credible. Credible is the word. So I poked around this then. Titles like Chrystia Freeland completely embarrassed, all caps, by a reporter. Yeah. So it goes on, and the homepage, I think, is an interesting one for Northern Perspective. It shows Carney. It looks like he's sipping, well, I would say water, but perhaps they are suggesting that he's sipping a glass of wine. And the video that they have there is called Carney Myths, and if you go to Carney Myths and click on it, you will see that there are several assertions, allegations, and they do, I commend them for this. They do list their sources, but their sources are not always credible sources. So that is a problem. It's good to list your sources, but not if you're going to list fringe sources as some of your stuff. And, well, they do list them, so I will give them that. It's well researched. That seems to be good. And they do seem to be sincere. But that doesn't mean you're right. It just means you're sincere. You can be sincerely wrong. As I might add to all my religious family members and friends who claim to know the truth and, claim to know the way. And in that claim, they have what they would consider to be sufficient evidence. Or as Josh McDowell's book, Volume 1 and Volume 2, Evidence That Demands a Verdict. Yeah, I used to think that way. No longer. I no longer think there is one door and only one. And yet its sides are two, inside and outside. On which side are you? An old children's... Anyway, don't get me started on belief. Belief is not necessarily true. It is simply belief. And for the most part, it is not substantiated. It is a claim to be true. It requires much thinking, much logic, much investigation, and I'm always one who espouses more questions than answers. Questions lead you towards truth. And when you are not able to ask, or you are forbidden from asking any question, when something is taboo, when something is out of bounds, then there is a problem. Because that's where dogma resides, when you cannot challenge existing beliefs, or you're made fun of because you doubt. Doubting Thomas. Where am I going on all this? Well, Northern Perspectives has a video that's very good. And I'm not one to agree with a lot of what they say, but I will agree with this. They were phished. Phished. Phished, as in somebody tried to get them to click on something and become something. And I'll just play the opening for you.
We've chosen to stand up. We've chosen to show you everything that we know and break it down so you know exactly where we were coming at this with, and so you can understand the decisions that we made and the information that we wanted to provide to you.
I like that catchy opening.
The morning after the April 28th federal election, we received a very disturbing email. The sender claimed to represent a Russian state media agency, offering us money to produce videos, and said we wouldn't need to change a word of our content. We reported it to the RCMP immediately, and today we're sharing it with you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the email that we received on Tuesday at approximately 7:27 a.m., literally immediately after the federal election. Now it says, "You said Pierre would win. Why you say this when you don't know results yet? Let it be lesson learned. Agency under TASS have noted you have large community. If interested in making extra income, let me know and I put you in touch with TASS representative. No need for changing content. RU Handshake CA." This was sent by Maxim Lebedev, 1997 at protonmail.com. And you can see 2 screenshots of our content in there.
All right, so they were phished. That's the bottom line. Somebody trolling them from Russia. Using a secure email server. I looked up Proton. It seems to be encrypted service. That's pretty secure stuff. The reference to TASS, TASS, is a reference to the Russian official news agency TASS. And nothing good ever comes out of that. And they go on in the video. And it's a worthwhile video to see how Russia goes about sowing the seeds of dissent. Now, I got to say this, and I wrote an email to these guys to say, hey, I think you're missing the big picture. They go on and talk about Tenet Media and the big scandal, Russian money flowing from a Canadian podcaster into American podcasters like Tim Pool. I think Charlie Kirk was also involved in this, and there were some hearings in the U.S. and an investigation in Canada. But I think he missed the point. His point was simply saying the independent media in Canada needs to be careful, but they are the best source of reliable news, and I would say not likely. Independent media is more vulnerable to charges like this, Russian infiltration. Yeah, it's true. He's got a point about transparency and light, and we do need more of that, but he's got it wrong. Look in the mirror, Northern Perspectives. Why would Russia want you? It's not because you're millions of subscribers, but it's because of what you say. You are part of the Russian perspective, sowing seeds of discontent, anti-Trudeau, F liberals, Canada's broken, I need an apple, whatever it is. You're part of it. You're spreading the same disinformation. I know you list your sources and all that stuff, but your opinion strays from the facts often. Northern Perspectives, your independent media may be part of the problem. Jim and Terry Show, signing out.